Hello guys, myself is Dr. Ajay Rathod and hopefully you are all doing very well. So where we are, we left the topic on the biological nitrogen fixation and now we will start from the symbiotic nitrogen fixation. So in last lecture we already introduced about the symbiotic nitrogen fixation. So what we did say in the last lecture, we already said that symbiotic relation is a type of relations in which two organisms are living together and they help to each other in respect of the nutrition or in respect of the hosting the other organism. That is clear. So let's start about the symbiotic biological nitrogen fixation. So today's our main topic is the symbiotic nitrogen fixation. Okay. Symbiotic biological nitrogen fixation. Okay, that is clear. So, several types of the symbiosis relations are found on the earth. Among some of among them, we will read today, and we will discuss about them in very briefly. Okay. So, several type of the symbiotic relations. Let's write about this. Several types of symbiotic some of among them are between legumes and some species of bacteria. So several types of the symbiotic relations are found on the earth. Okay. And some of among them are between the legumes plant. Legumes plant mainly belong to the leguminaceae family, or we can say the Fabaceae family. Okay. So some of among them are between legumes and some species of the bacteria. So you can ask me that why we choose the legume plants only, not the other families, Solanaceae. Okay, not other families. Why we choose the leguminosae families? So answer is there. Okay, legumes that are belong to the leguminosae family. Leguminosae family, or we can call them Fabaceae family. Okay. So in leguminosae family, what will happen? So in leguminosae family, they mainly use the ammonium. Okay, in the form of ammonia. They use mainly the ammonia or ammonium from the soil as their main fertilizers. Okay, so that's why some species of bacteria are come close to the leguminosae family plants and establish the symbiotic relations with them. Okay, that is clear why we choose the legume plant or why we choose the leguminosae family, Fabaceae family. Okay, that is clear. So one of the famous example of this symbiotic relations between the legumes and the some species of the bacteria. So one of the famous example that is the Rhizobium and legumes plant. So there are so many legumes plant. Like example, our NCERT, what did our NCERT say? Okay, so as an example that like the alfalfa, clover, that's the clover bean, sweet clover, clover bean, sweet clover. Okay, alpha alpha clover means sweet clover, and sweet pea, garden pea, garden pea, broad bean, and the lentils are of the some examples of the legume plants. Alpha alpha clover bean, sweet clover, sweet pea, garden pea, broad bean, and the lentils. They are the basic examples of the legumes plant. Okay, so which type of this relation and what happened in this relation? So why they are living together, and why one is the microbes and one is the plant, two different species. Why they are living together? Okay, so let's talk about them, about the symbiotic relations. Okay, so what is the benefit of plants and what is the benefit of the microbes? Okay, so they established already symbiotic relations, okay, between the rhizobium bacteria and the legume plants. So some things we can mention about the rhizobium. The rhizobium, they are as the free living microbes. They are the free living microbes. But with the legumes, they become the symbiotic. That is clear. So this rhizobium bacteria or this rhizobium microbes absorb the nutrition or mineral from the soil and also form the nodules. We can discuss about the nodule in later. Okay, so they absorb the minerals and the nutrients from the soil and also formation of the nodules in the close to the root, hair or root. Okay, okay. In rhizobium already play a role in the symbiotic relation. Okay, so next one is the legume plants. What is the contribution of the legume plants? So legume plants provide the place for the rhizobium bacteria. Okay, provide some sugars for the rhizobium. So legume plants mainly host for the rhizobium. So that is clear. What is the contribution of rhizobium? What is the contribution of legumes in the symbiotic relation? Okay, that's clear. And there is the relation between the rhizobium and legume plant. But another example is that between the non-legume plants and the one of bacteria, that is the Frankia. Frankia established the symbiotic relations with the non-legume plants. Frankia establishes the symbiotic relation. Symbiotic relation between one non-legume plant, and that is the Alnus. Non-legume plant. Non-legume plants, that is the Alnus. That is clear. That is the Alnus. Alnus is a non-legume plant, not associated to the Leguminosae or Fabaceae family. That is clear. So we have already two examples of the symbiotic relation. One is the rhizobium and legume plants, and I already mentioned the legume plants example, and the other example is the Frankia that establish the symbiotic relation with the non-legume plant, and that non-legume plant is that the Alnus. Okay, that is clear. So I mentioned the one word, that is the nodule formation. Nodule formation, who help in the nodule formation? That is rhizobium. I already mentioned before. Okay, so what is the nodule? Then what is the contribution of nodule in the nitrogen fixation? Let's see. So if we uproot the pulse plant or legume plants before their flowering, okay, we can say there is a nodule-like structure in the roots or close to the roots or close to the root hairs. Okay, if we cut that nodules, we can found what we can found. We can found there is a pinkish or reddish spot there, or pinkish or reddish color. in the nodule section. So that is pink or red color happen due to the one of the most favorite pigment of the legume plants, that is the lag hemoglobin. That is the lag hemoglobin. Our blood is red because of the hemoglobin, and their nodule color is the red or pink because of the hemoglobin. Okay, that hemoglobin is associated with the legume plants, leguminous family plants. That's why we call them the lag hemoglobin. That is clear. So that is our fifth point. What is fifth point? If we uproot the nodule of pulse belongs to the Leguminosae family. That is clear. Pulse plant, we found some nodules close to the roots or associated the roots or roots there. That is clear. If we cut or take the section of nodule, we notice that what we will notice? We notice that there is a red or pink zone. That is clear. Red or pink colored zone inside the section. Okay. So why red or pink color happened, or why or red pink color occurred? Because of the one of the most favorite pigment of the legume plant, that is the lag hemoglobin. Okay. So this red or pink color occurs due to lag hemoglobin. That is the most prominent pigment of the legume plant. That is clear. So this is our symbiotic biological nodule fixation. Okay. Now we come on the nodule, or there is say in simple word, that is the nodule formation. That is clear. Nodule formation. It is our main topic, nodule formation. Okay. There are so many questions come from this topic, nodule formation, and so many topics come from about the legume. So many questions come from the lag hemoglobin. Okay. And so many questions come from the legume plants, and so many questions come from the symbiotic nodule fixation, and about the symbiotic relation between the rhizobium and legume plants, branchia and alga. Okay. So let's start about the nodule formation. Okay. Hopefully you are getting everything what I am saying. Okay. So nodule formation, we already know about the nodules. Okay, who used to do their contribution in the formation of nodule? Obviously rhizobium bacteria, there is main contribution in the formation of nodule. Okay, and we already take the section of the nodule, and we found there is a pinkish or bright color inside the section, and this pink or red color obviously because of the lag hemoglobin pigment. Okay. So nodule formation. How does the nodule form, or what is the mechanism behind the nodule formation? So we classified this mechanism into 3 points. Okay. First point is that Which bacteria you already know, that is the rhizobium. Colonization multiplication of the bacteria. That is clear. And that's the diagram of the colonization. This is the cortex cells. Obviously, they have intercellular space between them. You already know, and you already studied about them in the morphology of the plant. Okay. This is the root hair. Okay. So, first of all, some bacteria, mainly the rhizobium, they are present inside the soil. Okay. They colonize and multiply themselves around the root or root hair in the legume plants. Okay. So, mention the first thing, that is the rhizobium. Rhizobium multiply and colonize. Rhizobium multiply and colonize themselves around the root or root hair. Okay. That is clear? Okay. This is the cortex cell. Okay. This is the root hair. Okay. And this is our bacteria. Our bacteria, that means our rhizobium. Okay. They are the colonized and they are multiplied themselves around the root and root hair. I already mentioned and I have told you about this. Okay. So what will happen next? Next. So they are multiplied and the colonized around the root hair. So they used to curl the root. Okay. So they used to curl the root. That will help them to enter inside the cortex. Okay. So let's see what will happen next. This root and this also curled because of the colony of rhizobium. Okay. There is a loose tissue mainly made up of the parenchyma, as you know, as you read before in the morphology of the flowering plant. Okay. So this is also cortex. Okay. And this is also root hair, but this time it is a curd. Okay. This is the curd. So here is the our rhizobium. Okay. They used to curl the root hair for their respiration in the cortex cells. That is clear. So they curl the root mentioned here. They used to curl the root. They used to curl the root hair. Okay. So what will happen in the next? What will happen in the next? Okay. They produce a thread. Okay. They are colonized and they are multiply themselves, and they also produce the thread which help them to enter inside the root hair and as well as entry into the cortex cell. That is clear. So next our point is that entry of bacteria inside the cell, cortex cell. So this bacteria and rhizobium bacteria produce the thread which help them to enter into the root hair as well as into the cortex. Okay. Rhizobium process thread that has then to enter into the root hair as well as into the cortex cell. That is clear. Let's show some threads like structure here. In our next diagram, we will show the thread. Already root hair is curled already. Okay, done. This is the cortex cells. The cortex cells already there. And look there. Here is the thread structure that are formed by the rhizobium bacteria for their facilitation into the fruit. Okay. And this is our rhizobium. This is our rhizobium, okay, who is entering into the cortex cells, that is here. So, they used to enter into the cortex cells, okay. And the next is the nodule formation. So they are already into the cortex cells as well as in the pericycle cells. Okay. So where they left the thread, okay, they left the thread and entered into the cortex cells where is the intercellular space, and they used their nutrition and also their minerals and their waters for the formation of nodule. Okay. Nodule formation. Then left the thread and enter into cortex cells where they initiate the nodule formation. Where they initiate the nodule formation. So, by this mechanism, rhizobium contribute their contribution to form the nodule. That is here, and this is the one nodule. Okay, this is the one nodule. And I will tell you some interesting thing about this nodule. Okay, this is the our nodule. And that is the thread. That is black dot indicate the thread that are made by bacteria, only rhizobium bacteria. And this is the rhizobium bacteria entering into the cortex cell. So, is this clear? Now, read about the nodule. Okay. So we already know about the nodules that we uproot the first root of the legume plants and cut the section of nodule, and we notice there is a pink or reddish color because of the legume. Everybody knows. But nodules contains all chemical components. Okay, all chemical components that are found in every cells. Okay, like cytoplasm, protoplasm. Okay, and different types of the cells. But something is very specious or something is very special in the nodule, that is the like hemoglobin, and other thing is that the nitrogenase enzyme. So our nitrogenase enzyme, that is the molybdenum iron protein enzyme. Okay, so let's write about this. So nodule that contains nodule that contains all chemical components, all chemical components. Apart from them, apart from them, nodule contain nitrogenous enzyme and like hemoglobin. That is clear. So already we mentioned already before chemical components contains what extra what we found extra, that is nitrogenous enzyme and the like hemoglobin. That is clear. So this nitrogenous enzyme now very special, very special. This nitrogenous enzyme is a molybdenum iron protein enzyme. Okay. So this nitrogenous enzyme is a molybdenum iron enzyme. Okay, that is clear. It is very important point. Very important point. So many times NTA exams or NEET exams ask these questions more frequently. Okay. Which type of the enzyme are found in the nitrogenous enzyme, that is the molybdenum iron enzyme, and which type of the elements are found in the nitrogen enzyme, that is the molybdenum and iron. Okay. So these nitrogenous enzymes play the major role in the symbiotic biological nitrogen fixation. That is clear. So what's the contribution of nitrogenous enzyme? So this nitrogenous enzyme this nitrogen helps in conversion of nitrogen to ammonia, and this ammonia is our first stable product of the symbiotic nitrogen fixation reaction. Okay, and this ammonia NH3 is our first stable product, of the nitrogen fixation reaction. That is clear. Who helped in this conversion? That's the nitrogenous enzyme. So what is the inside the nitrogenous enzyme? That is the molybdenum iron protein enzyme. Okay, that is clear. So we already mentioned that is the nitrogen fixation reaction. So let's talk about this nitrogen fixation reaction. Okay, this is also very important nitrogen fixation reaction, where the nitrogen tend to convert into the ammonia, and it is more frequently asked in the NEET exam. That is N2 NH plus H2. Okay, that is clear. And N2 convert into the ammonia. There is 2 nitrogen, there is 2 nitrogen. There is a 2, 3, 6 and 8. 8 hydrogen, there is a 8 hydrogen. 8 electron, 8 H plus. So it is a balanced reaction. And this reaction occurs with the help of nitrogenous enzyme. So finally, we got our first stable product of the nitrogen fixation reaction, that is the ammonia. That is clear. Okay. So this section is very important in the perspective of the exams, NEET exam. That is clear. Where they can ask you about the enzymes, that is the nitrogen enzyme. They can this reaction without balancing. Okay. And ask to you for the balance of the reaction. Okay. That is clear. So, in this nodule formation topic, we were on the like hemoglobin or nitrogenous enzyme. So, what's the problem with this nitrogenous enzyme? Is that this nitrogenous enzyme is mainly the anaerobic. Okay, and it is very sensitive about the oxygen. So, there is a such type of the facility available in the nodule, and or we can say that the nodule provides some facilities where where nodule protected this nitrogenous enzyme from the oxygen. So in nodules there is a leg hemoglobin, and that leg hemoglobin is a act as the oxygen scavenger and protect this nitrogen enzyme from the aerobic condition. That is clear. So what did we say? That is, first, this nitrogenous enzyme is sensitive about oxygen. Okay, so this enzyme is not active in the oxygen medium or aerobic condition. We can also mention there aerobic condition. That is clear. Okay, so our nodules provide some facilities for this enzyme that protect this enzyme from the oxygen. So right here, nodule provides some facility, or we can say some mechanism where it protect nitrogen from aerobic condition or the oxygen. That is clear. Okay, so we already know about that the leg hemoglobin. So leg hemoglobin act as oxygen scavengers. So this leg hemoglobin act as the oxygen scavengers, and it removes the oxygen in that particular area where the nitrogen enzyme is active and convert the nitrogen into the ammonia. So that is clear. We already told that it is an oxygen sensitive enzyme. Sensitive enzyme, that is nitrogen enzyme, is sensitive about the oxygen aerobic condition, and this leg hemoglobin act as the oxygen scavenger, and it will remove the oxygen for the nitrogen enzyme. So that is clear. Here we can say one another thing, that is for the formation of ammonia, we need a high input energy in the form of ATP, almost 16 ATP for the two molecules. So one ammonia molecules, for the formation of one ammonia molecules, we need the 8 ATP. That is too much. So how does we occur this ATP energy for the formation of ammonia? Or we can say that from where we can get some amount of energy for the formation of ammonia. So I already told you that legume plant is act as the host, okay, and the rhizobium is act as the guest. So this ATP energy provided by the host plants through their respiration Okay, we already know about the respiration in plants where the energy is formed for the many functions. So here through the respiration of plants, they provide the energy that is formed in the ATP, and that will also help in the conversion of N2 into the ammonia. That is clear. So let's mention this thing. Host plants provides energy in the form of ATP by their respiration. We can obtain this energy from the respiration of the host plant. Our NCERT says this line that this energy is obtained from the respiration of the host plant, and we mentioned here host plants provide this energy in the form of ATP by their respiration. Both are the same thing, that is clear. Okay, so what we found? We found this ammonia, but there is something problem with this ammonia and also the plant, because plants, some plants absorb this ammonia as well as the nitrogen, but at specific pH this ammonia gets some protons and get protonated. I mean to say that this ammonia converted the ammonium ion after the protonation of the ammonia. The problem is that at specific pH, ammonia is protonated and form the ammonium ion. Some of the plant absorb this ammonia. Some of the plant absorb this ammonium ion. Okay, but listen one thing, that this ammonium ion is quite toxic. It is clear. As we already know that we can eat the toxic things, so why the plants will eat this toxic thing? That is clear. So plants have found some mechanism that they convert this ammonia in some other usable or eatable compound, that is the amino acids. That is clear. So our next topic is that the conversion of nitrogen to ammonia at the fat of ammonia. Okay, conversion of ammonia into the amino acids. Conversion of ammonia into the amino acid. So our next topic is that conversion of ammonia to the amino acid. So that is clear. Why why plant can't get this ammonium ion as usual present in the soil? Because it is quite toxic, and they can't eat and they can't take this toxic things in their body. As usual, we can take this toxic thing in our body, as well as for the plant. Okay, so plants, there is found a mechanism where this ammonium or ammonia convert into the amino acids. So there is two mechanisms. There is two mechanism or method. There is two mechanism method or two ways. Our inside we told that this is a way. Okay, two mechanism methods where there two mechanism method where this ammonia or ammonium ion convert in simple absorbable thing. Simple absorbable compound, that is the amino acid. That is clear. Okay. So there is a two mechanism or there is two method ways. First is the reductive amination. Reductive amination. Second is the transamination. As the name said, everything that is reductive amination. What does mean? What are you getting with this reductive amination? Okay. So reductive means there is somehow reduction is possible in which reaction? Okay, in which reductive amination. So the transamination, everything. What's everything? Transamination. There is the transfer of amine. Transamine. So transfer of the amine. Okay. That is a very simple term. So first, let's talk about the reductive amination. What will happen there? So, in reductive amination, ammonium ions react with the alpha ketogluteric acids and convert into the simple amino acid, that is the glutamic acid. Okay. Here. Look here. Alpha ketogluteric acid and convert into the glutamic, that is the amino acid. NADPH is used to convert into the NADP plus and ammonium ion convert also. Okay. Here is the one enzyme is used, that is the glutamate dehydrogenase. Which enzyme? Glutamate dehydrogenase. That is clear. So here, what we did see there, that is the ammonium ion that is react with the alpha ketogluteric acid and convert into the glutamate. And which enzyme is in this reaction? That is the glutamate dehydrogenase. That is clear. Okay. And this convert into the nitrogen. So there is a reduction of the ammonium ion into the nitrogen. Okay. That is clear. And also the reduction of the ketogluteric acid. Also there is the reduction of the ketogluteric acid by the ammonium ion, that is converted to glutamic acid. And this ammonium ion is also oxidized into the N2. Okay, that is clear. So what is our purpose for this reaction? Our purpose for this reaction is that we have to get this amino acid from ammonium ion, because ammonium ion is quite toxic for the plant. So we already get our product, that is the glutamic acid, that is the amino acids. Okay. And next is the transamination. Here there is a two term, trans and amine. So transfer of amine, that is clear. So what will happen there? Well, in this transamination there is a transfer of amino group of amino acid to the keto group of keto acids. That is clear. Look there. What will happen there? And one enzyme is helped, that is the transaminase enzyme. The name also the similar to the reaction. So look there. Here we have the this is the one group of amine, one group where the amine is associated. Okay, and there is the other group where the keto group is associated. So we can say there is the amine is clear. So which enzyme is used in this reaction? That is the transaminase enzyme. That is the transaminase enzyme. As the name as the reaction. Okay. So what will we get from this reaction? That is transfer of amino group, transfer of amino group from one amino acid to the keto group of another amino acid. So that is, as we can see clearly, there is the amino group of this amino acid transfer into the keto group of this amino acid. So it in very simple words, we can say that the amino group is come there and the keto group is come there. They transfer each other's functional group. Okay, that is clear. So, this non-toxic material converted into the easily absorbable form. Okay. So the famous example for this reaction is the asparagine and the glutamine. Okay. Asparagine and the glutamine. So now we are writing about the asparagine and glutamine, that are the example of the transamination reaction. Okay, where is the transaminase enzyme is help in the transamination reaction. Okay, so asparagine and the glutamine. So this is the formula of the asparagine, or this is the structure of the asparagine. Okay. So this is a simple structure of the aspartic acid and this is a simple structure of the glutamic acid. Now convert it into the asparagine and glutamine. Look, that converter. That's why first I wrote the structure of the aspartic acid, so you can understand how this conversion is occur, or how this conversion is possible from the amino acid to the keto acid. Okay. So look here, there is the asparagine and there is the glutamine. Where is the amino group? Okay, where is the amino group is converted into the keto? There is the amino group converted into the keto group. Okay. So this is the example. They are the example of the transamination reaction. Okay. Yes, we can look here. We can write this one. Okay. Okay. Now, there is asparagine and there is a glutamine. That was example of the transamination. So, plant now use this asparagine and glutamine in their different activities. Okay. So they are the main components of the plants. They are the main components of the plant in their nutrition. Okay. So they are the amides. Okay. They are the amides because there is an amide group here. That is the amide group. Okay, that is clear. So here we can see there is a more nitrogen in amide than comparative to the amino acids. So what is the structure of amino acids? Look here. This is the structure of aspartic acid. This is the structure of aspartic acid and this is the structure of COOH, that is the converted into the CONH2 into the amide group from through the transamination reaction. So here we can see clearly there is the less nitrogen in the aspartic acid and glutamic acid, but there is a much nitrogen in asparagine and glutamine when it converted into the amide. So that is clear. So obviously plants will prefer them compared to them that in the original form because there is a much nitrogen in their structure. Okay, that is clear. And our NCERT says something else, that is the plant exported some ureates. So what is the ureates? We will discuss about them in few minutes. Okay. So plants exported some ureates through the transpirational streams through the xylem. Okay. As we already know in the transport in the plants, xylem helps in the transport of the minerals and plants. So as well as xylem vessels help in the transport of the ureates. So let's talk about what is the ureates. As name say everything, ureates that came from the urea. Okay, ureates. That is the ureates. Ureates. So what is the ureates? Ureates that are type of the organic compound that derived from the urea when one or more hydrogen atom is replaceable by the organic group. So let me mention the definition of ureates. So you can clearly understand about the ureates. It is here. So what is the ureate? An organic compound. I am writing this definition, but this definition is not mentioned in your chapter. Okay. So an organic in NCERT. This definition is not mentioned in your NCERT. Okay, an organic compound that derived from urea in which one or more hydrogen atoms are replaced. One or more hydrogen atoms are replaced by the organic groups. That is clear. So let's show the structure. Let me show the structure of the urea. That is. That is a double amide. Okay, NH2 NH2. So somehow we can say that there is a much nitrogen than the carbon. Okay, there is much nitrogen than the carbon in urea, or we can say that nitrogen carbon ratio is much higher. That is clear. That's why plant also take this ureates as their mineral or as their nutrition. Okay, from the soils. So plants also prefer these things. So this ureates also used in the fertilizers. Okay. For obviously fertilizers, so what is the contribution of fertilizer? Obviously fertilizers just fertile the productivity of the plants, and they also help in their growth and development. So this is our topic about the metabolism of nitrogen. So first of all we read about the introduction, nitrogen fixation, biological nitrogen fixation through different types of the methods from biological nitrogen fixation and the electrical nitrogen fixation, industrial nitrogen fixation. Okay. Then about we read about the symbiotic nitrogen fixation, then nodule formation, nodule formation, where we read about the two things. One is the like hemoglobin and nitrogen enzyme. Nitrogen enzyme, that is the molybdenum iron protein enzyme, and the like hemoglobin act as the scavenger, oxygen scavenger, that will help that will help in removal of oxygen, that is much adapted conditions or much required conditions for the nitrogenous enzyme, that is here. And next is the conversion of ammonia to amino acids. Why we will convert this? Why we converted this ammonia to amino acids? Because ammonia get protonated at specific pH into the ammonium ion, and ammonium ion is quite toxic for the plants. They can't take it as in normal forms. As ammonia, ammonia forms, they can't take it in ammonia forms. Okay, so they convert into the any other simple or absorbable things, that is amino acid. So where we already read about the two methods or two mechanisms, two ways. First is the reductive amination, second is the transamination. Okay, so where transamination, we got our two main component, that is the asparagine and glutamate, that made from the aspartic acid and glutamic acid. Okay, and we already read about their structure. So how the aspartic acid convert into the aspartame, and how does the glutamic acid convert into the glutamine. Okay,